Welcome to Women Making a Difference, TJSAO women who inspire and motivate.
Ashley Watson, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me, State's Attorney.
Absolutely. Often the viewers get to hear from me as the elected state's attorney, but you're working hard in the office and you do some really unique work as well. So I'm so excited for them to get to know you a little bit more. So why don't you tell everyone about your role in the office?
Okay, well, thank you, Madam State's Attorney, for the opportunity to speak with you today. My current role in the office is the legal assistant to Principal Deputy Abbott, as well as the newly appointed legal assistant to the executive staff. And I'm also the paralegal for strategic investigations and our public integrity unit.
Wow, so you really have some really important roles in our office, and you really keep us on track with the things that we're supposed to do, right? So we really appreciate that work. So tell us a little bit about yourself. What made you want to come and work for the prosecutor's office? What's your background?
Okay, well, I'm actually a Prince George's County native. I've lived here all my life in Upper Marlboro, Maryland, and I came back after undergrad. I'm a political science major. I got my BA at Spelman College in Atlanta, and I moved back shortly after I started working for the Office of Administrative Hearings in DC. From there, I came back to the county. I worked for District Court in Hyattsville, and then shortly after that, I applied for the state's attorney's office. I started at post-conviction, yay, post-conviction, and then I made the gradual transition into strategic investigations unit, and I've been there ever since. So, yeah.
So tell us about strategic investigations, that unit. Tell us about the work of that unit.
Okay, so with Strategic Investigations Unit, we mainly focus on, armed robberies, strings, violent crimes of that nature, gang crimes, especially in Prince George's County. We have some gang-affiliated issues here in the county, and so we focus on all of those issues.
And so what is your specific role? What do you do every day?
Okay, well, for me, a typical day-to-day would be the preparation of discovery for my ASAs. I also analyze charging documents. I alert my attorneys to any discrepancies that may be in their actual case file before they have trial. I also pull NCIC background information on our defendants, so that way our attorneys are aware of whether or not there are any prior convictions with the defendant. And as well as certain research aspects when it comes to certain cases. And I also keep our data history log for all of our defendants, so that way we know what type of statistics we're dealing with when it comes to certain defendants.
Absolutely, and that is so critical because as we move into this era of real reform in our justice system, looking at the backgrounds of defendants, looking at what are appropriate outcomes in cases becomes so critical. So the work that you're doing now really will help guide us into the future. And so I know that you're working with Principal Deputy Abbott right now on really launching an emerging adult program for our office. Can you talk a little bit about that? I know we're at the beginning stages, but just talk a little bit about what's going into the work that we're going to be doing.
So basically what we're trying to do right now is find emerging adults between the ages of 16 and 26 that may be, that we've come across in certain cases that may be eligible for this program. It's a pilot program that we're thinking about starting and that the state's attorney herself is thinking about starting. And basically, we're looking for individuals who may fit that criteria for this program. And it's kind of like a rehabilitation program to kind of give them a second chance if the crime that they've committed isn't too severe, if that makes sense, giving them an opportunity to have a second chance to, acclimate back into society. So my job specifically is to run the numbers, look for each defendant, each candidate to see whether or not they'll fit that criteria for this program. And so me and Deputy Abbott have been working painlessly on that. We're going through each unit from our strategic investigations unit, our homicide unit. Currently, we're working on guns and drugs and major crimes. And hopefully we'll get those numbers down and we'll figure out what's the next step. So we're really excited about that.
Yeah, I mean, really, this is really focusing obviously on our millennials, which you are one. You're a millennial. And how do you feel like being in this role, knowing that the work you're doing will really change people's lives in the future? How does that make you feel?
Well, personally for me, part of the reason why I love my job so much is that I'm a civil servant. I'm doing all of this for my community, and it's even more rewarding because I grew up in this community. So I feel like it's my obligation to make sure that it's taken care of, that it's protected, that we're doing the necessary work to make sure that, citizens are heard and, feel like they have a say. And, you know, I personally think that we're doing all of that and then some, and I'm honored to be a part of everything that we're doing in the office.
You know, you grew up here like me. I grew up here in the county, and I love this county like you, and I feel that passion in you, which is great. But we do deal with some very serious offenses. Many of our victims or next of kin are dealing with the worst possible thing that happened to them in their lifetime. How do you balance that just personally? How do you get through the days? Because even though, yes, we're all professional, we're also human, and we're dealing with real human tragedy in many cases. How does it affect you, and then how do you process it?
Well, like any person, any human, you feel for these victims and these witnesses who have to relive or have to experience these traumatic events. For me, when I come walk away from home, this is my problem though. I can't separate my home and my work, but I read, I paint, I try to like throw myself in my creative side. But you're supposed to feel these things. You're supposed to be able to relate to these victims and these witnesses when they go through these things. So even though I try to balance it as much as possible, it's okay to feel what they're going through because it's real. It's
Right.
something that a lot of people have to go through, and it's not fair. And it's amazing that, our office does everything that we can to make sure that we can make amends or seek justice for them when it's necessary. So, even though it's hard, it's okay to feel it a little bit. You need to.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You've got to. Like, you can't not have lived in this community, know the people. I mean, even if you don't know them personally, you know them, just organically, folks, and not have those feelings. And I'm happy that you have those feelings, because that will help you in your career as you move forward. And it also helps you to be able to relate to those who we are serving. Because when they come to our office, regardless of who they're talking to, whether it's the attorney, the paralegal, a victim witness coordinator, or our front door receptionist, when they walk in our office, we want our victims, our witnesses, the next of kin, to feel like we have their backs.
Exactly.
And so yeah, being in touch with those feelings is a good thing.
Yeah.
So I know that you're working really hard as a paralegal. You're a phenomenal paralegal, and you've kind of moved into, got a little bit of a promotion now, working with the executive team, and I'm grateful to be able to work with you. But is that it for you? Do you want to move to the next step? Are you interested in becoming a lawyer? Yes, I'm putting you on the spot here.
So attorneys run in my family and judges. So, I've had the pressure of let's get it done. But I'm kind of leaning probably towards maybe a master's in public policy,
Okay.
really get into the nitty gritty of how certain laws are created and how they reflect the interests of our citizens. So that's what I'm leaning towards. But never say never when it comes to a law degree. So.
Well, I would say this. I think you follow your passion, right? And now that I know that that's a passion of yours, policy, we also obviously have a good policy team in our office as well. So I'll make sure that you are connected with them so that you can help us with our testimony in Annapolis, before the county council, and before some of our municipal governments. So see, that's why I love having these conversations, because you get to know new things about people. And my goal obviously, a state's attorney as the manager of the office is to help you achieve your goals. And so if I can do that, I'm going to. But that might mean more work for you, but
I love the challenge.
all right, sounds great. Sounds great. Well, thank you so much for joining me. Do you have any parting words, any advice for anyone who might be interested in criminal justice and who might think, well, the prosecutor's office, they're locking people up, they're trying to get people in, sentenced to lengthy sentences. Do you have anything you want to share, especially with the millennials? You're a millennial, obviously you're into policy, you come from this community. What message would you send?
Make sure that whatever you study in college, that you're passionate about it. That's the one thing. Believe in yourself. Believe in your power and your intelligence. You never know who you're going to be sitting down with. You never know what rooms you're going to walk into. And you never know. A little bit of courage and, confidence goes a long way. In my personal experience, that's helped, as well as, observing, listening, taking those notes. You don't have to be the first one to speak in a room. Sometimes it's best just to take in the information. And, I am blessed to have so many mentors and so many people who are, pros when it comes to working in and out of the prosecutor's office. And they took me under their wing. And so for that, I make sure I listen. I make sure that I take my cues from them. So get a mentor, get someone who can really look out for you, give you that instruction that you need that guidance. It goes a long way when it comes to your career as well as your future.
Yeah, and I think the other part of my question, because I think it's really important that people understand the work of our office is not just about locking folks up. But from your perspective, what do you see? What message would you send to millennials who are skeptical about prosecutors, skeptical about the criminal justice system?
It's not how the media portrays it at all. Every prosecutor I've ever worked with is fair and just. They really throw their heart into these cases. They're doing everything that they can to make sure that, these victims who are going through these traumatic events are heard. And that's their job. Their job is to make sure that, the everyday person is heard. And I don't agree with a lot of the things, the bad rep that certain prosecutors get, or that prosecutors get in general about, just locking people away. That's not the case. There are laws, there are rules, there are procedures that we have to follow. And I think personally that all of the prosecutors that I work for are doing that and then some. And they make sure that they have a connection with the people that they're working on behalf as well.
Absolutely. And again, the work that you're doing with Principal Deputy Abbott around emerging adults, I think really shows our commitment, not only to our victims, because we have to take care of our victims and we always will, but also to those who have made mistakes. So that it does not impact them for the rest of their lives, so that they have a meaningful opportunity for rehabilitation and reform and restorative justice. Because ultimately, their growth, their maturity will actually keep our community safer. Because even if they've committed one offense, that doesn't mean they have to commit another one.
Exactly.
And so it's how we treat them oftentimes that will determine their outcomes. So I'm really excited about the work that you're doing. I'm really excited about your interest in policy. We will certainly make sure that you are connected to our policy team so that you can be a part of those conversations. And again, I really appreciate your work in the office. You're doing a great job, and I look forward to many more years of working with you.
I do too. Thank you so much, Madam State's Attorney.
Thank you.